All right, guys, before we jump into today's episode, we're super proud to announce that this week's episode is sponsored by Wedgwood Cove. It's an 18-hole link-style golf course, full-service bar, full-service restaurant. They have the simulator downstairs, full driving range, state-of-the-art golf carts, and they loaded up their pro shop with all the hottest brand new gear that can get you set for this golf season. Be sure to head to wedgwoodcove.com, or we'll leave all their information in the description box down below. And then when you make your tee time, be sure to tell Donnie that Mikey, Polis, and Peej sent you. So with that, let's jump into today's podcast.
Attention, teeing off on box one, we have
Mikey
and Peej.
Ready for tee time.
Ready for our tee time. Reporting for tee time, not late, which is unique for us.
We're on time,
but we're here. Your tee time's ready. Our tee time's ready. We're ready to have a little public course golf discussion. Episode 5.
Yeah, baby. Welcome back, guys. So we're still stoked to have Wedgwood partner with us again on today's episode, being the kind of our channel sponsor, I guess you could say, as well as today's specific sponsor. Such a fun course. Now that the Masters is done, the weather is beautiful. It's time for us to get out.
We got full swing.
Golf.
Pun intended.
Yeah, right? Mm-hmm. Hey, that was the name of the Netflix documentary we were trying to think of.
Oh, yeah.
We talked about some of the polarizing figures in golf and live and everything in last week's episode, which we will leave linked in the description box down below. But we were trying to remember what the name of the Netflix docuseries was. It's Full Swing. Well, first thing we're going to lead off with, which I know we talked about last time, but you can check our new merch out. We got our kind of golf style with the Everybody's Welcome, our PCG patch, with the little braided navy blue red twins colors. And then PJ, in honor of the Masters last week, he's ripping the golf style PCG patch on the Masters green. These are kind of our new summer golf hats. We have our ones from last week. I had wore the black with the rectangle public course golf script patch, and then PJ was wearing the same navy with the script patch as well. If you guys like these, drop a comment down below. If it is something that people do like and are interested in, we'll certainly find a way to get them listed online for sale. But if not, we think they're pretty sweet.
Yeah, we're going to wear them. And like we were saying last week, if I was I'm kind of a hat junkie. Ask my wife. I rarely go somewhere without buying a hat. These were just a real nice surprise from Big Mike here. But if I were to see these in a store or any golf, even just, any golf store, like a convention, the golf convention in Minneapolis when they have that, or if it's at a course, I would be all over this, just because of the way they look and the fact it says everybody welcome, and just unique. I like the lettering and everything else like that. Goes with a lot of things. So
it does. Taylor,
yeah.
Go ahead. I didn't mean to cut you off.
You're good. Yeah.
Taylor designed our logo for this. She did our circle logo as well as our script logo, which you can see we got the patch hanging behind the old school wood clubs. Kind of starting to get our set dialed in a little bit.
Yep.
We're going to make some adjustments as we go here, but yeah, it feels good to kind of start to, you guys will see if you watched last week's episode, we made some changes to our little TIC TAC TOE series. So it's fun. Things are starting to legitimize a little bit. We've had a really good reception, I'd say, to the podcast so far. Yep. You guys have really been enjoying it, which is fun. We got them uploaded on Spotify and iHeartRadio, so I will leave those linked down below as well. But if you do want to listen while you're driving or you got headphones in or something, we have those options as well. So we'll leave those down in the description box. Click on those, give them a listen, give them a share if you like them. So in next week's episode, we're going to be doing a full Masters recap, kind of talking over the full way the tournament ended, kind of some of the players that finished towards the top, seeing how Tiger ended. We're going to talk about all that stuff in next week's episode, so be sure to tune into that one.
Our last episode, we talked a lot about Masters and Live Golf and PGA and the loyalty in the game and that sort of thing. We wanted to kind of bring it back to some of the public course discussions and kind of going for... We're talking about different games you play on the golf course, the game within the game.
Which we talked about in, is that episode 2?
I think so, yeah.
But the cool part about that is, in the episode I filmed for the Mikey Polis channel 2 weeks ago, I used this guy here, the Random Club dice game. And this is going to be a fun one to play with more. It was just myself. I played at the simulator.
Where'd you buy that?
I just bought it on. I actually found it. So it's funny. We talked about the game within the games. This shows how much the big dogs are listening, because we talked about the game within the games, and I'm not lying. That night, putting Soph down for bed, it went onto Instagram, and the first featured ad was this.
Huh.
And what's funny is I had told Betsy. I don't remember if I think it was the night after we talked about this. Then before the girls went to bed, I was talking to my wife, and I was telling her I had this cool idea, having essentially a piece of paper with it. We put it in a hat, and before every shot, you draw that out.
Sure.
So then all of a sudden this popped up.
That's awesome.
Literally the same thing. So there's a bunch of ways you can play it. You can play it, I think, up to, I think there's 5 dice in here. So I think you can play up to 5 players. Four players. And I did it a little bit different. I played with just this one. And this individual one has essentially all the different clubs that you would carry in your bag on it. And so how I played it is before every shot at the
Does it have the foot wedge?
Yeah.
That one I like to pull out
Right.
whenever I can.
That's a secret club.
Yeah. Or the drop the ball when you... Oh, I found my ball. It's
here it is.
Yeah, here it is, and you just kind of drop it out of your pocket. Yeah. Well, when the tip for that is when somebody is really excited about finding their ball.
Over the top.
Yeah. Well, I found my ball.
What? It must have hit off a tree.
Or hit off an egret.
Paul almost killed an egret. We talked about that in episode
Well, we had to figure out
3.
what kind of bird that was, because we thought it was like a peregrine falcon, didn't we?
Yeah. So I'm gonna
Or
put
it was
up
a pterodactyl.
I'm gonna put it up on. Can you imagine all of a sudden you're playing golf?
Prehistoric times.
So I'm gonna put up on the screen that bird. We found it. It is an egret. We're gonna put it up on the screen. That's the one that Paul assaulted.
We're thinking about. That's our state bird, or no, that's our podcast bird.
He's the
egret.
The feature bird is the egret. We need to get an egret statue.
Because think about private courses. You're talking about seagulls. You're talking about bald eagles,
flamingos, and
flamingos,
bald eagles,
flamingos. All these really classy birds. The public course golf gets the egret. So there's no foot wedge. There's no egret thing on this. You can't roll the egret and have the egret hit your ball. Like if you were watching the previous podcasts, when I hit an egret,
he assaulted an egret,
and I had like 30-yard gain and
into the middle of the fairway.
Into the middle of the fairway. But these have other things to do. The game within the game here. This dice game.
So it's cool. So you play up to 4 people, and so you can roll the main dice. Oh, come on. So it's got like the P3R. Pick 3 random clubs, and you have to play the 3 random clubs.
Okay.
There's a 1 club. You have to play 1 club the entire round, or the entire hole.
Okay.
A random club. You can do a random club for that hole. Random putter and driver. A pick 3, and then a random 1 club. And so on this dice, which is the one I played with on the episode I filmed, before every shot I rolled it. So like there was one time.
So these don't. This is a separate game than that.
So so you would do this, and then like the random clubs, you'd roll these dice to see what the random clubs are.
Ah, sure, gotcha.
So like when I played, there's one hole. There's twice I had to hit driver off the deck, and one of them I was like 37 yards away, and I had to use my driver off the deck over a sand trap. Like it gets really hard. Or if you're in the trap, to where you're, maybe on a par 3, you're in a green side sand trap, and you got to hit your driver out of it.
That sounds like fun though.
Or off the tee, you're on a long par 5 and you're teeing off with your sand wedge. Like
on this is perfect for public course, because typically people have memberships to public courses, or it doesn't cost very much money.
Right.
So you can afford to say, I'm going to do this.
Let's do one of these.
Yeah.
Yep. And I would highly recommend doing it on a day where it's not terribly busy, because I played 3 holes and it took me a long time, and I did not shoot well.
And you gotta be okay with, because people would be like, if it was busy,
like,
what the hell is that guy doing with his driver on the green?
Up on the fringe, like
what is he doing? Why is he using his sand wedge? Why did he use a sand wedge on a par 5 teeing off?
Yeah, right. That's my second shot on a long par 5 on the simulator was I had to drive with like my 8 iron.
Yeah.
And then my second shot was my 9 iron out of some rough. So then I was hitting my third shot. I got the random, or it's like a you pick.
You pick 2? Like when you go to Panera Bread? Panera. Sandwich shop.
The sandwich shop for you.
Yeah, we can also be sponsored by them.
Panera? Oh, this one. So like random, you get to pick whatever club.
Okay.
So I was hitting my 3-wood on a par 5, luckily, from like 290 yards out still on my third shot. And I actually hit it quite well, and I ended up okay on that hole. But
if you watch that video, Mike is so kind to not mention that he's playing like me. He says, after 3 holes, I'm +9 or whatever. And when I was watching that video, I thought, that's a great round for me. And he thought it was bad. I thought that was great.
You guys aren't going to believe this round I had today.
Yeah. But this gives an opportunity because maybe you realize that you should be using your 7-iron off the tee.
Yeah, maybe hitting that better than your driver.
Yeah. And it's an excuse to just, like we were talking about that other episode where it's like, do you lay up or do you go for it? Do you take the risk or you don't? Well, this allows you to take a risk for fun.
Right.
And in a controlled environment where maybe you're playing with four your buddies and one of them's like really, really good. And it brings them down. It evens the playing field.
Yeah, it definitely does because you could get lucky enough to where like one of the times in the sand, I got my sand wedge and I actually was able to put it pretty close.
Yeah.
Like you might get your driver off the tee and I get a sand wedge.
Yeah.
So it's like or all of a sudden.
Now we're playing, now we both drive at the same distance.
Or like you're hitting, I'm hitting a wedge close.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden you're using your driver. Like, I mean, there's a lot that. It definitely levels the playing field.
So I think that I'm looking forward to that. When you bought that and saw your little video about it, I was excited to see what that looked like in the flesh here.
Right?
So.
Yeah, this is going to be fun. And then it has like instructions of every pick 3 random. So like for example, we'll read you one of them. Pick 3 random. So before teeing off, each player rolls their dice 3 times to select 3 clubs. Those are the only 3 clubs that can be used for the entire hole. If the same club is rolled twice, then you roll again until a different club is rolled. So you literally have 3 random clubs, and you could do it on, like, what would be kind of fun is like a short, if you're on like a short par 3, and then all of a sudden you did it, and you had to use 3 different clubs. So you'd got like your driver, your 3-wood, and like a 5-iron.
Do you have to use all 3?
You have to use all 3.
What if you hit a hole in one? Then you just take 2 weeks and quit.
I'm sure these guys were banking on nobody actually doing that.
How'd you hit your hole in one? Well, I used my driver off a 100-yard par 3. Well, you must not lift weights. No, I don't.
I don't at all.
No. When you hit a hole in one with your putter, yeah. It was a mini golf course.
So it was really fun to bust this out. I was feeling good that day. It was the day before Wedgwood was going to open. The weather was starting to get nice. I played this, and I also ended up getting new golf shoes for the year.
Because Mike bought into he's drinking the purple Kool-Aid. Where in our first episode we talk about you're
gotta have the gear.
You're a sucker for gear, and I guarantee you, Mike will say that when his next best shot he hits won't be because of anything but the shoes.
100%. I had better traction on that par 3.
Yep.
Speaking of hot gear, check this out. Wedgwood Cove. This is actually a 2 years ago model.
Yeah, it doesn't look like you've worn it very much.
Oh, I wear it all the time.
I know, that's what I'm saying.
That's
it's held up.
It's held up really nice.
Yep.
So if you're looking for your own gear, be sure to head out to Wedgwood. They got the hottest stuff in their pro shop. They got great deals. They got Travis Matthew hats, Titleist hats. They got Wedgwood branded sweatshirts, golf polos. For Minnesota, because our weather is off the chain. So like even right now, it's going to be 60 today. There's probably going to be another time we're going to have snow flurries. Like when we play in that wrestling golf tournament every year, I think I've played probably, 12, 13, 14 years in that tournament. And I bet I can count on one hand the amount of nice days we've had. I mean, like, even Wedgwood was, I would say, one of the nicer ones last year, which I talked to Donnie. They are going to hold it at Wedgwood again this year.
Oh, good.
So that'll be fun. I do want you to play Greenlee. Sometime this year, we'll have to go play it. It plays a lot like the New Prague course. It's kind of a town course. A lot of trees, very mature. It's been around for a really long time.
Unlike us.
Yeah, not mature one bit.
Mature. So then that helps because it helps us become mature. And that's what I say to my wife when I'm going to go play golf. I'm doing this for us, honey.
I'm doing this for the family.
I'm trying to become more mature.
I'm trying to be a grown-up.
Yeah, and this is how I get to be. You keep telling me you act like a grown-up. Well, if I go play golf,
I'll go play golf.
Yeah, that's how I'll do it.
So yeah, I was feeling good with the new. So these are like the spike lists. Like they have their They're not much different than regular shoes, but yeah, these are. I've really started to like kind of the tennis shoe style. I have a lot, or not a lot, but a couple of the Air Max regular tennis shoes.
Could you wear those around and just be okay, or does it make a lot of sound? Like,
no, I think you'd be okay. Like
you just would have you wouldn't fall ever.
Right, you'd have plenty of traction.
Yeah. Yeah, they don't sound.
No.
They're not too noisy.
I mean, they're really not too different than this.
Yeah. I like the color scheme on that.
I wanted to go a little bit bold. They had like a red and black, then an all white, all black and white.
No, go bold. Then I was go bold or go home.
Right?
That's what I say. I've always said that.
So that's kind of been that's been a tagline I've lived by
since '74 when I was doing taxidermy.
Back before pre-war, I was like, you know what, I'm going
go bold or go home. Playing this game, you got to play it on a day when there's not a lot of people, or if you're going to do it, it's got to be purposeful by talking to the people or the owners.
Let the club people know
what you're going to be doing,
what you're doing, because it's certainly going to be a bit of a disruption. But I think it'd be a really funny disruption if you did it in the right way.
But probably if you're doing that, even if it's not busy, you might have somebody who wants to play through.
Oh yeah.
Because if you're hacking with your 3-wood in the sand and you're hitting it 4 inches every time, someone might want to say, hey, I'm not enough of this garbage, I'm going to play through.
There'll be plenty of guys that will probably not be okay with the antics in game. But
so what have you heard when people play through? I think it's funny when people play through. There's always that awkward conversation, kind of like when you're stuck in an elevator with somebody, and you're kind of like, okay, what do we say to each other? And you want to be cordial, because maybe probably don't know them, or if you do know them, then it turns into then they end up playing along with you.
You're right.
Which made me think of another thing, when you get paired up with people at a course where you don't know. But anyways, back to this when you have people play through. Like, what's that like? I always think it's like when you're on the opposite side. What do you say? Like, what do you guys say when someone's going to play through? Do you say like, oh, it's a great day to play golf, or you like kind of like how's the weather almost, or do you really get specific and say, when they ask you how you're doing, you say, oh, I'm just playing like, the S word. And I'm just, I'm hacking out there hacking, shaking it, just playing terrible. Or do you say, oh, it's fun to be out?
I think if you have somebody play through on you, like they come up on you to play through, there's always this sense in your head like you need to defend why.
Yeah, why you're playing bad.
Why is there...
Why do they need to play through to you?
Yeah.
And sometimes if it's a one person, you kind of realize they're just
moving quick and wanting to go. Yeah, but unless you're like that one dude at Wedgwood that we were sitting behind him, and I think he hit 14 shots off the tee, and he hit like 13 of the 14 went in the water, and one didn't leave the tee box. So then he went to the drop zone, and he hit like 14 shots from the drop zone.
And we were just behind him. Nobody else was behind us.
No, there was nobody.
He didn't let us play through.
We probably could have yelled something and
or just gone a hole ahead, probably.
And jumped.
I mean, in public courses, how many times does that happen?
Bounce around.
It's like, oh, hey, this one looks like it's busy. That one's busy. Let's just go to hole 7 and play there. And I think some people play it, and they're like 7, and then they're like, oh, there's someone at 8, so I'm going to go back to 3 and play.
Yeah.
And they just play their 9 holes, but like not in any order.
No, they're probably playing like some of the 9, you're like, well, I'll play 3 again.
Yeah.
So like you really only played 8 different holes, but you played 3 a couple times. But yeah, I mean that's
when that's what we were saying when you're letting someone play through who's not just a single golfer, and they're just playing faster or whatever, or you just don't want the pressure of them behind you. It does feel like, okay, is it me that
right?
No, honey, it's not you, it's me.
Yeah, there's like this sense you need to defend yourself because like. Typically, I mean, it's not every time you go out and play golf where all of a sudden you have people on you. No. It's like there's some specific reason, and it could be them just playing really quick. But I feel like if you get played up on, you always have to try and defend yourself. So it's like, it comes down to like, I'm not able to find my driver today.
Yeah, or I'm just, we're out here just enjoying the weather and just kind of out here hacking, or gosh, I mean, this is one of those days where I'm not playing very well or whatever else. You're an apologist right away.
Yeah, you have to be.
Yeah.
Yeah, you feel like you need to give a reason why, and maybe it's just, like for us, when we finally get the chance to go play, it's like, you're catching up on the last week, you're having a couple drinks, you're enjoying the weather.
It's not just about going quick.
No, that's the thing is it's like, you play in some of these tournaments that take a really long time. Personally, I really like that because I don't want to rush it. Like, especially in Minnesota, we wait. mean, it's been 6 months since we've had really nice weather.
Yeah.
And
with last week being 80 degrees, it's like it's really been feeling good to have that.
To now that it's finally nice out.
Yeah.
We don't want to rush. Like when you get the chance to go play, like I just want to take my time. You don't want to, crawl along too slow, but it's nice to take your time and Jesus.
Like those tournaments, there's people on each hole, so like you basically have to play the way you're playing because you can't go faster because someone's not in front of you or someone's real close in front of you.
Yeah.
And people right behind you. So everybody has the mutual understanding that we're at.
It's going to take a while.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I like that part. I mean, if it was something where you're trying to stay in the flow of things, and if you're having a really good round, you're trying to stay in the flow, then you want to keep going because at a lot of those tournaments you're sitting and waiting. But that's kind of the point of the scramble best ball tournaments.
Sure.
Like we're all sitting. If you got 4 of you, you got 2 carts. You're all sitting there waiting. The sun's shining. You're having a drink. You're kind of hanging out talking. That's half the fun in a tournament.
But there is that kind of awkward. But it would be funny to just turn the tables. There was a guy who when I used to work at a bank, and you'd ask them how you're doing or how are you today, and they'll answer truthfully like, oh, pretty terrible actually. This happened. Instead of just saying good, everybody says good. Yeah. That's just what people. There's like certain like norms. Like, what are the norms? What are the unwritten norms of how you meet somebody when you play through? Is it just kind of this surface level conversation, or can you get deeper and throw it off?
That would also be a fun video.
Yeah.
Is to see how much you can pry out of people. Like, I think the norm is kind of just for like the thanks for letting me play through. You hit.
Yeah.
And you typically, I feel like, say. Like I'll play quick.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, no worries. You take your time. But it'd be funny to dive into like,
you better play quick because you know what? I don't want to come up on your ass later.
Or as they're asking how your day is, like, it's actually really bad.
Yeah.
A cat got ran over by a tractor, and just go into this elaborate thing to try.
I twisted my ankle on hole 3.
My big toe's swollen.
I lost my favorite golf ball on hole 2.
Fall over and have a tantrum. Before we continue today's episode, we want to give a quick shout out to today's sponsor, Wedgwood Cove. It's an 18-hole link-style golf course, full-service bar, full-service restaurant. They have the simulator downstairs, full driving range, state-of-the-art golf carts, and they loaded up their pro shop with all the hottest brand new gear that can get you set for this golf season. Be sure to head to wedgwoodcove.com, or we'll leave all their information in the description box down below. And then when you make your tee time, be sure to tell Donnie that Mikey, Polis, and Peach sent you. It'd be really funny to kind of to work some people up and see how much, see what you can get out of people on doing the kind of the playthrough thing. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I feel like most people are kind of like an apologist and try to be really like sincere and give a reason of why you're playing slow or playing bad.
I mean, there's a lot of people that are apologists, especially with the Minnesota Twins. They like to be the Polad pocket protectors. The people that are realize it's a marathon, not a sprint, and they just kind of they don't want to. They want to just find excuse computers,
Right.
for how they can justify things. And Minnesota sports are known for that. We always injuries or whatever, but we also just come to realization that we just aren't deserving of nice things.
No, we're not at all. Because then when we do, either people are hurt, like you said, with injuries, and it's one of those. And it kind of falls with like the instant gratification thing, and like we talked about in last week's episode with some of like the transfer portal stuff and the loyalty of stuff, and like if there's not that instant satisfaction, especially as a sports fan, if all of a sudden you see like granted the Twins are actually off to a pretty hot start this year, so yeah, but it's like that instant satisfaction of like, you start off 2-6, and then it's like, well, all of a sudden now, you're overpaying, but we wasted all that money on Buxton. We overpaid Correa. Correa's only hitting 156 this year, even though we're 7 games into the season.
Yeah.
The satisfaction's not there if it's. But we've also been pretty much. You got the Minnesota Lynx that they had their little bit of a dynasty run, I'd say. For
Lindsey Whalen, Maya Moore,
Rebecca Brunson.
Yeah.
They had a good series of runs, but other than the Lynx for. The major sports, our last national championship was 91 with the Twins?
Yeah.
I mean, it's weird. We are in a
we
big
weren't
time.
even. I don't know how old you were. I was only 4 years old during that time.
Yeah, I was 3
or 4. Yeah. So we
it's
don't
like-
even know what it's like to win.
No.
No.
And so, I mean, I can see where the angst comes from, you know, being we haven't been able to experience. And when we have gotten to that point, you know, specifically like with the Vikings, you know, the Wolves got close, and was it 04 when they went to the Western Conference Finals?
Yeah.
But like, you know, you look at the Vikings specifically, and we get to a certain point in 98. We get to a certain point in 2009. And it's like we ended heartbreak.
Yeah.
Or we just get absolutely slaughtered. You know, like the Giants game, the Eagles game.
41 donut.
I mean,
Yeah.
it's the angst. I understand it because we haven't experienced the successes on a championship level that other places have. But
So when people, like when we were thinking back to when we were talking about people playing through and being apologists for how you're playing or having justifications for how you're playing, it would be interesting if it was just more honest. Like, this is what I'm doing. This is what happened. Like, you know, and being frank with it, like forward with it.
Yeah.
Like how Minnesota sports are. Like,
Yeah.
You know, this is what happened. It actually can happen.
there's no sugarcoating it.
And I think people in Minnesota, when you play public courses in Minnesota, you probably could be honest because it's not impossible. You've seen the impossible happen. You've seen Brett Favre throw across your shoulder when he could have ran across his body when he could have ran for the first down. You've seen too many men in the huddle before a kick. You've seen all of our kickers miss kicks. You've seen it all. So like to say like how is it playing today? Well, if you
Pretty
told them,
shitty.
yeah, I hit my ball and I hit 3 balls into the water and one went off an egret, and they'd be like, wow, yep, I believe it. You could say whatever you want because it's Minnesota sports.
I wonder if they would then feel bad.
Yeah.
Where if you did that, and then they're like, you know, just keep going. I didn't mean to rush you, and then they're going to be the apologetic ones.
Exactly.
So that'd be kind of a cool social study to figure out, like, if all of a sudden you were completely honest, to see how much you could get them to back off, and if they let you keep going, how much of a buffer they'd give you because they don't want to hear your life story again of like what you did wrong that last couple holes.
You got to believe though that people, because of the Timberwolves and the Vikings and the Twins and the heartache that we feel of never, you know, really reaching the promised land, at least in the Vikings case, never reaching it, and in our lifetimes, not reaching it for the Twins, and for the Timberwolves, never getting there either.
Yeah.
And still haven't retired Kevin Garnett's jersey and all that stuff. But you can kind of equate that. I think people are more hardy from Minnesota because they've dealt with that. It builds character. Like I tell my son, who I'm trying to raise him right and be a Minnesota fan, but he also likes to play Madden and video games and likes to be teams that he sees win all the time.
Yeah. Which makes sense.
So it's hard to, like, when they don't see their teams win, why do you like this team?
Right.
Well, like same with golf, you know, if you keep playing bad, why do you keep playing?
Right.
Well, I wonder if there's a lot of Minnesotans that play golf because they don't play if they don't play well, they keep with it because they know that they're just used to that heartache.
Right, they're used to the heartache. Or it goes back to, like we talked about earlier in this whole series, is like you're hoping for that one good shot. You're hoping for that year. How many times the moment the Viking season's done, do we say, you know what, it's fine.
Yep.
It's fine. We got this, and this.
We won
and then
the
they
division.
start the year, and it's like, you know what, next year I have a feeling because of this,
Yeah.
and this.
Our expectations aren't as high because we don't know what it's like to get there.
Right.
So we're okay with division champions. And some people argue like we shouldn't be okay with that. Like with the Twins, we shouldn't be okay with them not opening the pocketbook to spend money. But they did spend money on Carlos Correa, and maybe with the new management they're going to do that. But I think with golf too, like you get that one shot that you just keeps you going. It can be the equivalent of, yep, that's good enough.
Yep.
Like
That'll carry me.
Yeah.
Now, for sure through this year.
Yeah.
Like we said, all of a sudden, like I'm riding that chip in I had.
Yep.
You know, last season or 2 seasons ago, I remember hitting this crazy chip in. That'll ride you for a while.
Yeah, it will. So ride you for a while.
So Paul's going to try and ride his winning streak because obviously last week he won, and so now we're going to head to this week's episode of
TIC TAC TOE.
Oh, hello. Welcome back. So if this is your first time watching our episode of Public Course Golf, PJ and I like to end every single round with a little game of Tic Tac Toe. And last week was the week we debuted our new putting mat, but before that we just used painter's tape. We're still using painter's tape to mark our spots, but we're starting to legitimize and get our setup dialed in, which feels really good. But PJ won last week. He's up 2-1 in our series. So we play this at the end of every single podcast. And yeah, essentially just like you'd play tic-tac-toe at home, drop the ball in, put your tape marker down, and then we'll see who wins. So with that, let's get to it. Get some dick under your pal.
Oh, I came backwards.
Is that rainy?
I was going to ask you that. Oh, that's a good one to be at.
Yep.
They are outside now.
Ah! Feels good. Stop in the middle.
There. Did you have... Nope, you're fine.
Get over. No! Eight corners now.
Look at that. Little tiny shot. No! Yeah, you blocked me there. No, you don't have any space where to go though. You
No, I got.
So I gotta
This
go
is strictly-
diagonal.
You
I don't think we can go diagonal then.
Yeah, just corners. I got nothing.
Go, go, go! Oh no.
There we go. But it'll be too hard.
Come back!
Oh!
Too hard. No. Oh yeah.
Damn. Let's see where he's at.
Oh!
First one. Yeah. There it is. All right, another win, PJ. It's 3-1. Give him a golf clap, everybody. All right, so I got to try for next week, episode 6. I got to get back in the W column. We're going to give a huge shout out again to today's video sponsor, Wedgwood Cove. We'll leave their website linked in the description box down below. It's an awesome golf course to go play. Go see Donnie or Angie in the pro shop. Tell them Peach and Mikey sent you.
Say hi to Silky in the bar.
Silky 96 makes a heck of a cocktail. All the music you hear lately on this channel has all been courtesy of Silky. We'll leave his Instagram in the description box down below as well. If you guys dig today's episode, please hit that thumbs up button. Hit the red subscribe button to not miss our next episode. And with that, catch you next week, guys. Bye.